Hey, I'm Kai, and this is going to be a review of the DemonFX OTA phaser. This is their take on the Blackout Effector's sibling phaser. I want to start by saying I don't love that DemonFX have completely ripped off the graphics of this one. I think it's a little egregious and, very DemonFX. I don't really support that, but since this pedal has long since been discontinued, I think it's more okay in this circumstance. It's similar to what East would do with the sort of classic Yamaha designs. Ranting aside though, I should get into the review. The first thing I need to mention is that this pedal is on loan to me from Affordaboard here in the UK. They typically undercut both AliExpress and Amazon on price, so it's well worth checking their website out if you're into these sorts of budget pedals. The OTA phaser is an incredibly simple pedal. You've got rate, you've got depth, you've got a level knob, and you've got two different speed settings. The rate knob will control the speed of the phaser itself, so you can go all the way from a super slow thing on the slow mode, flick the switch over to fast and go all the way up to extreme ring mod style settings. The depth will control, the phaseriness of it, so how intense the phaser sounds, and the other thing to mention is the level knob. This is really so that you can dial it in for unity gain, but you can also use this one as a boost. I will show how this pedal sounds through a clean tone, but the majority of this video is going to be on a drive tone, as that's where I feel like phasers sit best. I found that this pedal gives me quite a nasty sounding overdrive thing, even with the level at unity. And this could just be my setup. I'm running on 9 volts and not 18, I'm running fairly hot humbuckers into it, and I'm also running it through the effects loop of the Fractal FM3. So there could be ways around this, and it may not be something that affects everyone who's using this, but it's a big reason why I'm not going to be using many clean tones today. I'll turn the level and the depth all the way down so you can just hear this sort of boosty thing that's going on. I'm not a huge fan of how it sounds through this clean channel, but we'll try it out as a phaser as well, and just hear something it can do before we move over to the drive channel. I've now got the pedal set up in a sort of simulated effects loop. I'm running the amp out into the front of the pedal, and then we're going back into the FM3 for my cabinet section and a touch of reverb. Let's hear this one dry before we engage the pedal. So it is a fair amount of drive on this, but that's really where this phaser sits the best. We'll bring the depth up to about halfway, and then we'll mess with the rate knob, going all the way from the slowest to the fastest, including the switch. Weirdly, on the slow mode of this pedal, there's sort of a strange pocket right up about the sort of 95% mark. The whole rest of the sweep is fairly slow, and then that last 5% takes you from fast to mega fast. It's a very strange one to learn, but I do think it's got a nice amount of range to it. The faster mode gets very fast very early on, and then once you get past halfway, you're into alien noises, and all the way up, it's so fast that you can't even hear it. I'll set it back to a normal speed, and then we'll go through the range of the depth knob. I found that the depth knob is pretty strange to work with. Even on 0 it's a fairly strong sounding phaser, and then all the way up it's way too extreme for me personally. I've dialed this pedal in now to just get a nice sort of rocky thing going with this tone that I've got set up. If you are enjoying this video, it would be great for you to let me know in the comment section down below. It goes a long way towards helping me out. One thing that's particularly important for me when I'm running any sort of modulation pedal is how it pairs with a fuzz. I do like to add a bit of subtle modulation onto a fuzzed out tone just to give it a little bit of movement, a little bit of depth to it. Not so much that you can really hear it, but enough to feel it. I've changed the setup a touch for this one. I'm running the phaser pedal after the fuzz, but before the amp now. Here's what the fuzz tone sounds like. Apparently I need to get my tube light fixed. Let's hear it with that nice subtle slow modulation. As I mentioned previously, this doesn't really do that super subtle thing, but it does work quite nicely. Let's now set up a more average, typical sounding setting on this, where you can hear the phaseriness. The last thing I want to try while we've got the fuzz tone set up is going for the super extreme ring moddy type thing. making things a little bit more normal with the high gain tone, I'm going to run through the rectifier model in the Fractal FM3 instead. I'm also going to swap out the reverb for something a little bit more cavernous for leads. So that is everything that I've got for this video. Drop a comment down below letting me know if there's anything else you'd like me to check out. There's going to be a link on screen to the video that YouTube thinks you will most enjoy. Until next time though, I've been Kai.